Congratulations, you've just found the #1 over 50 health and wellness podcast on the planet. Hello and welcome to the Over 50 Health and Wellness Show. I'm your host, Kevin English. I'm a healthy aging expert and the founder of The Silver Edge, and I am on a mission to help men and women just like you build lean, strong, healthy, capable bodies they love for the rest of their lives. Today's episode is packed with powerful insights on holistic health, faith, and transformation. I'm joined by a very special guest, Shemane Nugent, a wellness advocate, fitness expert, author, and someone who has lived through and overcome some serious health challenges. After nearly losing her life to toxic mold exposure, Shemane dedicated her life to helping others reclaim their health, not just through diet and exercise, but by addressing the whole person, the mind, the body, and the spirit. Shemane's most recent book is titled Abundantly Well, Bible-Based Wisdom for Weight Loss, Increased Energy, and Vibrant Health, and presents a 40-day journey that provides you with daily inspiration to help you overcome doubt and inhibitions about aging and to ignite passion for living well at any age. In today's conversation, we discuss her 40-year journey in the fitness industry, how she bounced back from debilitating illness, and why she believes true health goes far beyond the physical. She also shares some powerful, practical tips on detoxing your environment, clean eating, and most importantly, how to cultivate a mindset for lasting change. So whether you're struggling to stay consistent, curious about detoxing your life, or just looking for a fresh perspective on health, this episode is for you. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired. Are you over 50 and feeling like your best days are behind you? If that's you, it's time to reclaim your mojo with the Over 50 Fit Foundations program. This 10-week beginner-friendly strength training workout plan is crafted specifically for men and women in their 50s and 60s who are ready to look and feel their best. Imagine building strength, burning fat, and boosting your confidence, all while enjoying workouts designed with your unique needs in mind. This program addresses the hormonal changes and slowing metabolisms that come with age, offering safe and effective exercises to help you move with ease and vitality, and can easily be done in your home with limited equipment. With lifetime access to professionally designed workouts, video demonstrations for every exercise, you'll have all the tools you need to succeed. Plus, you'll join a community of like-minded individuals committed to transforming their health and fitness. Don't settle for feeling old before your time. Take the first step towards a stronger, healthier, and more confident you. Sign up for the Over 50 Fit Foundations program today and start your journey to lasting fitness. You can learn more by checking out the show notes for this episode over at silveredgefitness.com/318. Okay, enough of that. Let's get on with today's show. Hey, Shemane, welcome to the Over 50 Health and Wellness podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm really excited to jump in and talk to you about all the things here today. But before we get started, it seems to me that most people in this space, basically the health and wellness space, have a story how we got here. What's your story?
Well, in college, I was 30 pounds heavier than I am now and couldn't seem to get it off. I'd like to think my college dorm roommates and I started aerobics because we would exercise in the cafeteria after hours, after they were all done. We'd get a boom box. Remember the old fashioned boom box?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And we'd start doing leg lifts and those types of things. And fast forward a couple of years, I became a fitness instructor. I fast forward even more. I opened up my own aerobic studio. Fast forward even further, I ended up becoming a trainer, a choreographer for Zumba. I developed a program for Zumba and curves. I traveled the world training instructors in Australia, London, Paris, and pretty much every state. But I think my ultimate story, why I'm here, why I wrote my new book, is I got sick and almost died after having done all that from toxic mold. So when you and I were talking briefly beforehand, you're speaking my language. Yeah. Because it's not just about looking good in a bikini, which you won't see me in one anytime soon. It's about feeling good. And sometimes the toxins around us in our environment really can contribute us to feeling unwell.
Yeah, so thank you for sharing that. And certainly I want to spend some time with you today, deep diving into detoxing our environment. But let me just back up a little bit. So you were 30 pounds heavier in your college years than you are today. So obviously you've unlocked something, right?
Yeah.
In order to build a healthy body, a healthy body composition, and to maintain that. And if you don't mind me asking, since this is the Over 50 Health and Wellness Show, how old are you, Shemane?
I'm 62.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
folks that aren't on
Yeah.
on the YouTube version of this, we'll make sure we drop all of Shemane's social media stuff in there. But check her out. She is obviously doing something right. So you basically, is it fair to say you've spent your whole life then with this mission of helping people build healthier bodies?
Yes. And I realized that when I started teaching classes, it was also a mental break for me as well because I couldn't worry about my problems. I had to worry about
Mm,
Susie in the fourth row not bending her knees too much. Or there was, I've taught probably hundreds of thousands of classes in the past 44 years altogether, hundreds of thousands of people. And there's never really been perfect classes, maybe dozen times I've had absolutely perfect classes, but there's always, something with the lights or the sound or the temperature or choreography or whatever. But what that does for me, Kevin, while I'm teaching, it's a break and it's a mental break, but I can't just go through the motions. I don't know if you've ever gone to
mm.
the gym and you're like, oh, I got to get a manicure. I can't
Yeah.
I can't be distracted. I gotta go
Yeah.
all in times 100. So it worked out for me where, wow, this is great. I'm getting a great workout. I'm having a riot, seeing smiling faces. We're all having a blast, sweating and having fun. This is a great thing. So that's part of the reason why I started teaching.
I'm with you. There is something about walking along somebody's transformation, their health transformation journey that is truly, truly special. I've talked about that here on this show before. I had my own health transformation. And now, as a coach, I get to sort of live vicariously through my client as I walk alongside them as they're making these changes to their lifestyle that result not just in, because most people that are come to coaching, they have this almost superficial goal. I want to lose weight, and I don't want to make light of that, right? We have an obesity
Right.
crisis here in our country, but what they don't realize in that it is that as you practice these healthy habits, as you start to get stronger, as you start to clean up your diet, as you start to clean up your mindset a little bit as well and make these healthy habits, it's not just that weight comes off you, but you burn a little fat, you build a little muscle, but you also start to feel better. You have more energy, you're more vibrant, you feel more confident. And watching people go from, hey, I want the number in the scale to go down, let's face it, that's not that tricky as a coach, but to transforming into this newer future self, I think that there's something very special about that. I think you would agree that that's kind of sounds like what you're talking about, right? I have to be present when I'm with these people. I have to be, manifesting my own and my own purpose and sharing that with these people in order to bring them along is to make it something other than just an aerobics class or just a Zumba class. Is that fair? I'm
Yes,
putting too much in that.
absolutely. To answer your
Yep.
question, actually had one of my students come up to me after class and said, "Are you really smiling all the time because you have to, or do you really like it?" And I'm like, "I really like it. I
Yeah.
really love what I
Yeah.
do. It's not a job. It's a passion for me." And again, like I said, I'm getting a great workout. I'm sharing my love for health and wellness with other people because, Kevin, when you get sick and almost died like I did, and you can't, there was a time when I couldn't even get out of bed. And I remember my son was in track and he was in seventh grade. And it was daunting to think about getting out of bed, getting in the car, and driving 20 miles to school. And then once I did that, that was like a big accomplishment. And then I looked at track. Okay, he's outside. There are bleachers. I got to walk up
Mm.
in the stadium. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. So that is that I think that underlying fact, I mean, this whole book is a wellness devotional and I have Bible verses in it and I share prayer at the end of each chapter, which is one day for 40 days because I'm so grateful when you lose your health and you're lucky enough to get it back. Number one, I never take it for granted. As soon as I open
Mm.
my eyes in the morning, I thank God that I'm still here, alive and well. I used to get debilitating migraines to the point where I had to be hospitalized. When we found out our home that was once featured on MTV Cribs was contaminated with toxic mold between the walls. We never saw anything. I just kept getting sicker and sicker, and no doctors could help me. I had 4
Mm.
different types of mold in my bloodstream, and I also had pre-emphysema. So who I am today is, I'm just so grateful that I made it through all that. However, that being said, every day, it's like I'm just trying to keep my head above water. Every day I'm exposed to different things, whether it's stress. I go into a business or a building and there's heavy chemical scents. I have multiple chemical sensitivity, and people used to make fun of me. Seriously. And I get to the point now where I've talked to my husband about this. He didn't get as sick as I did, but now he's on the same page. So there have been numerous times where we got invited to go to somebody's house, open the door, and
Said no.
smell the downy
Yeah.
fabric softener and the
Yeah.
chemical scents from the candles and the potpourri,
Right.
and go, "We're so sorry, but we can't come in."
Yeah.
And I've learned to have boundaries, and that's, I think, is really important when it comes to your health. You have to know what works for you and what doesn't. And my publisher even said, "Do you want to go on a book tour?" And I said, "Probably not." I can do Zoom all day long,
Yeah.
but probably not,
Yeah.
because jet fuel affects me, travel affects me. I go into different hotels and there are different sounds, there are different scents, there's different smells, there's different chemicals, there could be mold. It could take me weeks to recover from that.
Yeah, I mean that's very striking. I think people have this sense mold is bad and mold is this hidden sort of toxin, and
Well, it
clearly
is.
it is.
It is.
Yeah, obviously. And now, do you when you say hey, because I had that same experience, right? If I go into, we went to an Airbnb recently, where as soon as you opened the door, it was just full blast of Glade plug-in
Oof.
freshener stuff. I mean, it was overwhelming. It almost made me sick. Do you think that you're sensitive to these things now because you had this mold toxicity? Is that kind of the root cause of that? That has
I
made you
do
more
believe
sensitive?
I do believe that. And also, again, it's not just a faith-based book. I think we're all on a faith journey in life. And when it comes down to it, the Bible says not everyone has eyes to see and ears to hear. I've been given a gift, as you have, and many other people have, of seeing things that other people might not see, other people might not recognize. But that's why I wanted to put this book out. I even talk about spiritual warfare, because if you think
Hmm.
about it, the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't he want you, Kevin, sick, overweight, unhealthy, headaches, and depressed on top of that? So wouldn't that be spiritual warfare? Doesn't that come into play? So in this book, I give you not only all of the things that I've learned in the past 44 years of being in the health and fitness industry, teaching everything from, of course, Zumba to step aerobics, high low, slide, spinning, kickboxing. I think I've done it all. I've done everything. And I share
Yeah.
with you what works and what doesn't work. For me, I want my workouts to be effective. I don't have time. I got 20 minutes, maybe 30 to work out, and everybody's busy. Sometimes, if you have an hour to go to the gym every day, God bless you.
More power to you. Yeah.
I want to do that someday. I will get back to that, but in the meantime, it's a big picture, looking
Yeah.
at not just, again, not just your weight, not just how you feel, but how you approach things spiritually and with a positive or negative attitude. You can, I don't know what it's like. I've traveled a lot, and I've walked into hundreds of different gyms. I can walk into a gym and go, "Oh, I feel out of place here." Yet I can probably walk in and teach a class without any problem at all. But I understand what that is like psychologically, and we've got to get to the point where you got to put yourself first. This,
Got to put yourself first,
as
100%.
the
Yeah.
flight attendant says, put your oxygen mask on yourself first
Hmm.
before helping other people. And especially women, I don't think we have always been that way as moms, as nurturers, and it still happens at 62. I still
Yeah,
want to help
no, you're
everybody.
right. I see that as well in my own life with the women in my life. They have this caregiver gene, and they are constantly putting other people ahead of their own needs. But you're exactly right. Self care is not selfish,
Mm.
and I actually believe you almost have a divine mandate, a sacred mandate to take care of your health and your body. And when you do, the results from that are you show up as a better you. You're a better mom. You're a better sibling. You're a better spouse. You're a better coworker. Just a better human being when you take care of yourself in the way that you're talking about in this very holistic manner. Because obviously you've got the exercise and the nutrition. We're going to talk a little bit about that. You've got that down pat. But what I really like about your book and your message is this very holistic view of wellness that takes into consideration things like spirituality. I think you have a chapter. Is it supernatural health? Is that
Uh,
right that you call it?
well, yeah, supernatural health is woven in through the whole
Through the
message,
whole thing, right?
but
Yeah,
spiritual warfare. Yeah, I do
yeah,
believe, God wants us to be healthy, but
right.
sometimes there are other forces, there are spiritual forces at work against us.
Mm.
And it's easy to buy into that, to just go, "Oh, I gained." And again, I've experienced it. I was 30 pounds heavier. I know what it's like, Kevin. When I should have been in great shape and I was 30 pounds heavier. And here's something interesting. I was a college cheerleader when I was 30 pounds heavier than I am now. So my college cheerleading, our squad anyway, at Central Michigan University, we used to do what they call double stunts, where guys would throw the girls up in the air and catch them, right?
Yeah.
Do you not think my partner would have appreciated throwing me up into the air 30 pounds lighter?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a journey though, right? It's this,
Oh, yeah.
it's not that you arrive either at perfect health or optimal health. I think that it's something that we have to practice every day. And I think that's also something that gets lost. So let's jump into this a little bit because I want to dive into this and talk to you about a couple of different things because the book is Abundantly Well, Bible-based wisdom for weight loss, increased energy, and vibrant health. So let's kind of start here. Why that book? Why now?
Well, part of the reason is after I got sick from toxic mold exposure, and also going back and it's a daily struggle to be
Yeah,
healthy, to
yeah,
feel good. I also have scoliosis. So if I don't move my body a little bit, I'm not talking about running 10 miles, just stretching every day, my back freezes up. So
mm,
there's so many things that go into it. Why now? Because when those things happen to us, and it happens to all of us, we have trials and tribulations that we all go through. I promised God that if I found answers to some of these problems that I had, I would share it with people. And I don't like to see people struggle. I don't like to see people. I used to get debilitating migraines. I know what that's like. And so many other things. I had chronic fatigue and multiple chemical sensitivity, restless leg, insomnia. I don't think I slept for 2 years, really. I mean,
yeah. That's not good.
you can lay down.
Yeah,
Do you ever
yeah,
lay down and, kind of watch the clock tick, or wake up and go, or not even wake up? I never even fell asleep. The What really did it for me was when, because of my husband, we travel a lot, used to anyway, as a musician. And I'll never forget, we were in London, of all places. And I went to sleep and I woke up the next morning and went, oh my gosh, that's what sleep is supposed to be like. I had,
it's pretty good stuff. Yeah,
wow, this is
yeah.
amazing. So that's when I started putting two and two together, that something's wrong with my house.
Yeah, something's wrong with the house. And look, something's wrong with your house. Obviously, you had mold in between the walls, but something's wrong with your house being your body, right? This
Right.
kind of physical manifestation of your spiritual self. And you you've made this reference a couple of times that this I've been given this gift and I made this promise to God, and so it sounds like you're very purpose driven. You're called to do this. Is that fair?
Oh,
What you're doing
absolutely.
now?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So my next question is, who is this book for? And this kind of, it's like a 40-day, almost like a jump start, right? Of all these different dimensions of your life. Who specifically were you writing this book for?
Not only am I writing it for the person who has never worked out before, who is looking at walking into a gym as it's daunting, who feels like they're too far gone to even start, who is at 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 going, why bother now? I'm
Mm,
tired. I worked on my life. I'll never figure it
mm,
out. Not only did I write it for that person, I also wrote it for the person who does exercise a lot and maybe they're still feeling like they're missing out on the spiritual aspect or toxins. I every day I talk to people who never realized how many toxins are in our air, soil, and water and food source that could be contributing. Like they might be going to the gym all the time and they get headaches and they don't know why, or their kids get headaches. And I just hate to see people take pharmaceutical drugs unnecessarily.
yeah, right on. I'm 100% with you on there. Well, let's jump right into the toxins then.
Okay.
And let's start with food. People might be surprised. Wait, toxins in my food? That doesn't sound good. When it comes to nutrition and clean nutrition, what are you advocating? What is your advice for somebody who is overweight, eating the standard American diet, knows they want to change, but isn't sure really what to do? What do we tell that person, and where are they looking for these toxins in food?
Well, if it's in a box on a shelf for months or even years, is that really good fuel for your body? Probably not. I always advocate for becoming a label reader. If you can't pronounce it, chances are it's probably not food. And if you're looking inside, if you shop the grocery store outer aisles, that's probably better. But now we know that they're putting chemicals on our fruits and vegetables and even in our meats. And processed foods, the more it's processed, the less nutrients it has in it. And they're putting all kinds of nefarious things in those meats and foods, including antibiotics and even mRNA. And I don't know about you, but I found out that doesn't work for me. Now some people, it's funny because you know who my husband is.
I do,
Okay.
yes.
So we
Well, wait, hang on. You can't just ask that and
okay.
leave the rest of the audience hanging here.
Well,
They
probably
by now you have said musician. You said
yes.
I traveled around a lot.
Yeah.
They know your last name. I'm guessing they put two and two
Put it
together. But go
together.
ahead.
Yes.
Let's go there first. Yeah,
My husband is Ted Nugent. And
the Motor City Madman.
yes,
There we go.
yes.
Yes.
And again, he didn't get as sick as I did. I was in the house longer, but I also discovered that male testosterone protects them from the mold
Mm,
mycotoxin a little bit more than it does women. But we've debated about certain things. He likes certain foods on occasion. I do too. I'm not perfect. And my book is not meant to tell you, you can never have chocolate chip cookies ever again. Cause I like chocolate and I'm going to have them. But I give you options and I give you swaps and I make a lot of things on my own chocolate chip cookies or shortbread cookies or whatever it is. I think that's a healthier thing to do than buying store bought. But Ted and I were having this conversation one time about he wanted to eat something and he's like, I don't understand why I can't eat this. You know, I'm not arguing with him, but it was, I don't even remember what it was, like lunch meat. And I'm like, you gotta become a label reader. Look at all these things. And he goes, yeah, you're not supposed to drink or smoke either, but look at, now I forgot his name, the guy from
Keith
Keith
Richards or
Richards.
somebody like
Keith
that.
Richards,
Right there. You go.
exactly.
Yeah.
He's like, look at Keith Richards. So
Sure.
there's always a person. And
There's an exception to
my
every rule.
my
Yeah.
grandmother had bacon and eggs every day. She
Mm-hmm.
also had she would eat kippers, and so the
Mm-hmm.
sardines and the oil from in
Mm-hmm.
omega-3s, that was good. And she also drank hot water with lemon in it every day.
Mm.
So, there's little things, and I'm not advocating for anybody to do one particular type of diet because we're all different people. We all have different genetic makeup. It wouldn't be right for anybody to say you can only be on the blood type diet. Or, I mean, when I was trying to lose weight when I was in college, I tried every diet there was, including at one point there was something called the cookie diet. I'm
Mm.
not kidding you.
The cookie
So
diet. Yeah.
that's the cookie diet. But I figured out what works for me. And 80% of the time, I eat clean, meaning I don't put a lot of sauces and I try, it's pretty clean. Like if I have a salad, I just use vinegar and oil and lots of avocado, lots of protein. I'm a hunter, a bow hunter. So we have a plentiful amount of pure lean venison that's not shot up with chemicals and steroids. But I like chocolate chip cookies. If
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
go, or if I'm going to go to somebody's house and it's their birthday, I'm going to have a bite of birthday cake. I'm not advocating for completely giving up your favorite foods, but I do believe that everything in moderation is a good thing.
Oh, amen to that. I absolutely love this philosophy. So we're recording this right out, it's just after the new year here, and tons of people have just made their New Year's resolution. I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to hit the gym, all these things, right? But as opposed to thinking about this restrictive mentality until you reach some goal and then magically you're going to do that for the rest of your life, or you're going to go back to doing what you were doing before. But as opposed to that sort of a mentality, I love starting with what you eat. It's way more important than how much you eat, I believe, because how much you eat actually will take care of itself if you take care of what you eat. And what you eat, I don't mean, cutting out whole food groups or doing any goofy things like that, but it's exactly what you're talking about there. It's like, how can I replace this hyper palatable, ultra processed food with
Right.
real whole food? I think you call it God food and man food in your book,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
These are the things we are ancestrally supposed to eat. These are concoctions that are made in the laboratory within the last 50 years.
Right.
And it's not impacting our health very well. But making that subtle switch from eating all of this processed food to eating clean and looking for organic and grass-fed options. I love that you and your husband are hunters, and so I mean, wild game is the most nutrient dense, healthiest food you can get into you, right? So that idea of, hey, let's have a quote unquote diet or a nutrition lifestyle that's sustainable for the rest of our life. That isn't something wacky or kooky, or we're only going to eat in this tiny eating window, or we're going to cut out all carbs for the rest of our lives, or we can
Right.
never have cookie or
Yeah.
ice cream.
No.
Just not sustainable or
No.
reasonable, right? Yeah.
For me, it's not. And if you can do that, God bless you. More
Right.
power to you. I think that's amazing. But we just had chips and salsa and some kind of cheese dip yesterday. So
Sure.
I put all that in the book because I want people to know wherever you're at, if you're like I was, and I am now, I'm not giving up all of my favorite foods. However, there are some food swaps that you can take. For example, if let's say holidays, everybody probably put on the average person gains 2 to 4 pounds during the holidays from Thanksgiving through New Year's. So let's say you go to a party, you go to a holiday party and you want everything. Who doesn't? Like that looks good,
Yeah.
this looks good. But my strategy is if I walk into a party and I'm like, I'm a chocoholic. I beeline for the chocolate. I'm probably not going to eat the bread and butter. I'm going to go for nutrient dense foods first and know that I'm safeguarding a piece of that chocolate cake from
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
something that
Yeah.
I really want,
Yeah.
but you really can't have it all. Women can't have it all, men can't have it all.
No.
We do need to have a little bit of discipline. We do need to, you can fill your body up. I like drinking a lot of water. I don't keep track of how much water I drink. I probably drink half my body weight in ounces of water per day.
There you go.
But
Yeah.
you know what? When we were growing up, I don't know how old you are. Did anybody ever tell you to drink water?
No, I think it was just because that's what you did, I
We
think,
do.
right?
We were thirsty and we drank
You
water.
you got
You
thirsty,
know?
you drank. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there are some, and I'm not saying drinking water is a fad. It's pure water too. Now here's another. If you talk about toxins, speaking of water,
Yeah.
this drives me crazy. When I first got sick, I went to a place called the Environmental Health Center in Dallas by Dr. William Ray. Suzanne Summers wrote about him in her book. She did a phone call interview with him, transcribed it for one of her books. He was my doctor. And when I walked in, I was drinking out of a plastic water bottle. He took it out of my hands and he said, "You can never drink out of that again."
Stop that. Yeah.
Nobody ever told me, but this was 20 years ago, that when plastic bottles are transported, whether it's soda or water, in Texas, we have 100 days of 100
Yeah.
degrees.
Yep.
So you put those plastic water bottles wrapped in plastic
Yep.
into a metal container. The chemicals in the plastic actually leach into the water,
Sure
and you're
do.
drinking that. And we wonder why there's so many problems with hormones, why our children are entering puberty too soon. I
Mhm.
talk a little bit about all of that in my book too, about the importance of clean water and knowing where your water source comes from. So that's a big thing for me as well.
Yeah, that is a big one. And I think a lot of people are surprised. I think most of us now are aware that, we want the cleanest water we can find, that plastic is bad. But there's a lot of places where toxins are hiding in your house, and not just in the walls and mold, of course. But let's start with the bathroom. Let's start with our hygiene products and our cleaning, our beauty products, things like that. What do you advise men and women when it comes to what we choose to put on our skin, on our hair, on our body?
Well, I have a show called Faith and Freedom. One of my sponsors is called Casa, ROWE Casa Organics. And I was looking around for some face products to use that didn't have a bunch of chemicals in it, because your skin is the largest organ your body has. And you could be toxic free all day long and eat clean and everything, but you're putting shampoo on your scalp and lotion on your body and using chemical cleaners. It's probably going to cause you things like migraine, upper respiratory symptoms, even insomnia too. And one of the things I love about Rocassa is it's organic. Like if for some reason it slipped and you're putting on the oil, I put in the face oil today and I smooth it in, and maybe I got a little. They say that when you wear lipstick, women, when you're wearing lipstick, you actually end up eating some of that. So how likely are you to ingest chemicals from all of these products in your bathroom, from the hairspray to the cleaning products? So I use a lot of the skincare products I use are from Rocassa. They also have a shampoo and conditioner bar of soap. If you look at soap shampoo, just become a label reader. Look at what's in
Yeah.
that
Back to the
shampoo.
label reading. Yeah.
Yeah, it really, that's where I'm a huge advocate of. And it took me a long time to figure all this out. I put a lot of this in my book. But also back to the bathroom. I have a friend who just painted her bathroom. And I went and saw, and I went, "Oh, I can't even
Hmm.
I can't even walk in there." There are something that a lot of people don't know about. Some people know about volatile organic compounds, which all you have to do is, again, become a label reader. If you are going to purchase paint, go look at what the ingredients are for that paint. VOC paint, volatile organic compounds, can cause upper respiratory symptoms, headaches, migraines, seizures, and if eaten or ingested, even death.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
say it. So you can get no VOC paint and you can get low VOC paint. And it's just about, being smart. I'm the type of person where I apologize in advance, but if you invite me to your house and you have Glade plugins, I will pull them out.
Thank you. Yeah.
I did that at
Right.
actually our
Yes.
vet. Our vet I pulled it out of the wall. I'm like, I can't come
Yeah.
in here.
Yeah. 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 It's nasty stuff. And I think that most people we take a lot of these things for granted. I don't think a lot of people don't understand that your skin, like you said, it's an organ,
Yeah,
it's your largest organ, and that what you put on your skin, you put in your body.
yeah,
That's not a non-permeable barrier.
right.
So think things like sunscreens and, for us guys, it's a shaving cream and your toothpaste, all these things that you put on your body.
Yes,
And now look,
toothpaste is a big one too.
oh, toothpaste is a huge one. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just all of the commercial stuff that you buy is just complete and total. Basically, it's toxin.
Yeah.
It's garbage.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take a whole lot of research to start making these healthy swaps slowly over time. Now, I don't know, 7 years ago. I went way down the rabbit hole. I listened to a podcast. It was Nadine, oh gosh, I forget her last name, but she's got a company called Living Libations. And so they do these very, very organic, pure, clean hygiene products. And I just went to, I started looking at the time I was using like Prel shampoo and Right Guard, probably the spray deodorant. I don't know what I was using, but lava soap. I didn't give it any thought. I was using Colgate for toothbrush. But at any rate, went down this complete and total rabbit hole of trying to detox and got a little overwhelmed, frankly. Kind of backed up and said, okay, let's be reasonable. Let's just do this. Just take it in chunks. But slowly over time, my kitchen, I've gotten rid of all of the nonstick surfaces in there. I don't have any plastic Tupperware anymore. And all of my hygiene products are beyond just organic. They're actually nourishing. And not only do they not harm me, but they actually are a part of my whole body health. But I think a lot of people miss that piece of it. And I've seen some health, fitness, social media influencers kind of poo-poo that. Oh, your body is made to, the tiny amount of aluminum you get in deodorant is ridiculous. You can detox that easily. And I would answer that by saying, fair enough. If that was the only toxin you were putting on your body and you just did that daily, you're right. Your body could probably detox that amount of fragrance and BPAs and whatever you're putting on your body. But it's this compounding effect. Like you mentioned, these toxins are everywhere and we're putting them on our body. We're breathing them in, we're drinking them, we're eating them. And it's just this toxic overload. We just live in this modern society where it's really hard to get away from that. So I guess before we leave the topic of toxins, I'm just going to shout out Environmental Working Group. They have a great app, ewg.org.
Yeah.
You can just go check them out. They have a nice little app and you can download it and you can scan products and it'll give it like a really simple green, yellow, red sort of a rating in terms of health. There's a few apps out there that do that. So there are some watchdog organizations out there. Shemane, I don't know if you want to give a shout out to any other resources like that in addition to your hygiene products.
I love Environmental Working Group. And, for me, I have a lot of people ask me about what to do if they want to heal themselves from toxic mold exposure. And there's a lot of different, I don't have one particular place because there's so many different ways to heal. And it starts from the inside out, but there are a lot of different forms or methods, what we used to call alternative remedies, but now they call functional medicine. And I've been an advocate of I get no kickback from it, but I use an infrared sauna almost every day. And I think sweating is very helpful in healing. I also have done things like something called the Hocket, HOCATT, and that has helped.
That's a new one. I don't know that.
That's helped. I think it's a hyperbaric oxygenated carbonic acid transdermal therapy. If I'm correct, I'm not sure.
That's a mouthful.
Something like that. EWAT, exercise with oxygen therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And a new thing called quantum pulse. If we want to get into parasites, I was just having this conversation with my husband. Everybody's got them. No matter if you've been to Africa many times, like I have, they're in our air, soil, and food. They're everywhere. And especially if we have pets, we worm our pets, right? We give them HeartGuard, which is ivermectin and things like that. So I think that's an important part of healing too. And my point in sharing this with you is that I don't have any one-stop shop. There is a drugstore or a certain health club that has all of those things. But I would recommend, if people are interested in those functional medicines or alternative therapies, to source out, like maybe there's a place that does an infrared sauna. Maybe there's a place that does ozone or oxygen or vitamin IVs and things like that. But check it out. And I write about that in my book as well.
So I think that's great advice. Look, certainly a functional doctor should be something that you are investing in. That's a part of investing in your health. And look, your general physician who you go to once a year for your blood work and your physical, that's all fine and good. But really at the end of the day, their job is to make sure you're not sick. And unfortunately, if you are, to prescribe you something. But this is a different modality of taking ownership of your health and well-being and really trying to move from this framework of, I don't want to be sick, to changing that mindset to I want to be superhuman. I want to have
Yes.
optimal health. I want to have
Yes.
abundant health, and I
I want to
want
have
to glow with health.
supernatural health.
I
And
want supernatural health.
that's what
Yes,
God
I
wants for
do.
us.
That's
And
exactly right. How do I manifest that? And I think some of these tools are really important. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't ask this as well, because I'm sure there's somebody out there thinking to myself, "Oh my goodness, do I have mold toxicity in my house?" Do you have any recommendations for resources on testing? Because this is another tricky thing, isn't it? To find out
oh,
whether you
Kevin,
have.
I
Here
talked
we
to you
go.
for a long time about
Yeah,
that. I actually wrote a book. It's over my shoulder called Killer House. I did a
yeah.
documentary on what happened to us. There's a statistic that says 80% of homes and buildings have mold. I would venture to guess it's 100%. And I get this question every single day. People reach out to me, friends of friends. I always love talking to people, but it's usually the same answer. If you think you have toxic mold, you do.
Mm,
The best way, if you don't want to spend a lot of money, because here's the problem, and I talk about it in my Killer House book. There are some good mold testers and mold remediators. There are awful lot of bad ones, and there are an awful lot of scammers. And at this point, there's no regulation for building a healthy home. I'm actually working on a documentary series about building healthy homes because our building industry is to blame. We have inferior products. We put, particle board. What is particle board? A bunch of different
mm,
materials glued together, which off gas. And the off gas are toxins in the air that you can't see that can give you headaches, like VOCs, volatile organic compounds. So to test for mold, there's also something, check in your area because I'll let you in on a little secret. In this docuseries that I'm in the process of filming right now, it should be out later 2025. We have uh, a special tester that everybody's going to love. It's a mold dog, a
oh,
dog
really?
that can sniff out mold.
Oh,
So check
that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
if they can sniff out
Yeah.
drugs, they can, and that's
Yep.
how they're initially trained to sniff out mold. So check in your area too. I know there are two in Dallas. They're mine. You can't have them. No, no. But
Yeah.
in fact, I don't know if I even want to give out their website because this woman and her dog handler appeared on my show a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago, actually, and they were inundated. They got so many calls. They have
Yeah.
to
I
train
would
more
imagine.
dogs. They have to
Yeah.
hire more people. So the best
There's a
thing
business idea out there for
I know, right?
some entrepreneur, right?
But
There
it's
has to
great.
be.
Who
Yeah.
doesn't love dogs? And I've
Right.
seen them work. Like it's not where you would suspect. Probably,
Mm,
here's the number one thing. If you know you've had a water leak, okay? If you have a water leak, you have a porous substance and lack of ventilation, you will have mold. If that water sits there for 72 hours, you could have very, very deadly toxic mold, one of which is called Stachybotrys. So I go into lots of detail on testing for mold, how to recognize, remediate, and recover from toxic mold in my Killer House book. That's been out for a couple of years, available on Amazon. It was number one for 3 months on Amazon in 3 different categories. So I'm super proud of that. But here's the funny thing, Kevin. Like, I didn't think I'd be known as the mold lady, or talking about mold. Like
yeah.
that's not really, that's going to be
Yeah.
what God's calling me to do. But okay, I'll do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you've been called, and it's your duty to serve, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. All right, well, folks, I'll drop links to Killer. What did you say? Killer House, right? Is the
Yep.
name of that book, and any other resources that Shemane sends me over. Those will all be in the show notes here. You folks can find those there. Definitely would encourage you to research more about that. Mold is getting more and more. It's becoming a part of our collective consciousness as we're realizing the ill health effects from mold. I love the idea of dogs, mold
Oh,
sniffing dogs. I mean, there are dogs now, I don't know if you've heard this, but there are dogs that they are pairing with diabetics that can
yes.
sense
Yeah.
and will alert their
Oh,
owner
yeah.
when their blood sugars. I mean, dogs are doing some not only are they
Dogs are
amazing
great.
companions, but they have all these utilitarian things that they can do. Just amazing, amazing. All right. Well, Shemane, as we're kind of wrapping up here, I'd love to end talking about mindset and the importance of mindset. We've talked about mindset a little bit here. I think it kind of is this umbrella of everything else we talked about. But what would you say, especially given this time of year, or people that it's the beginning of January, people are going to buy your book and they're going to be, okay, 40 days, I can do anything for 40 days. Let me get a jump start. I've gained and lost the same 20, 30, 40 pounds a dozen times in my life. What's the mindset shift that you would give somebody who has gone on that sort of a journey? Like I start and I stop, I start and I stop. What's the difference maker for that person to move into a place where you are now, right? Look, I'm on this healthy journey of optimizing my journey. I'm not on this start over every Monday sort of thing or get saved every Sunday
I
kind of from
know,
a Christian
right?
perspective, right? What advice do you give to that person?
Well, start small. And
I
I
love it.
map it all out for you in my book. I do the first chapter, I talk about there's a common text term, WYA, where you at?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen that? People
I
say, where you
have.
at?
Where you at?
So
Yep.
where you at? Let's do an assessment. Where you at?
Yeah.
And I have a
Meet yourself where
checklist
you
of
are, right?
where are you? What would you like to change? What doesn't feel good on your body, in your body? What do you think is happening? What would you like to change? How would you like to move forward? What is your goal? So we talk about that, where you at, and then moving forward. There are certain things that you could do. And for me, I know that if I have one person who says, "Oh, you have got to try this coffee. This coffee is so good. You got to try it." I'll go, "Ah, okay, maybe I'll try the coffee." So that's what when I wrote this book, that's what I want this book to be. I want this book to
Nice.
be the type of
Yeah.
book for everybody that can find something in it to inspire them. And it's not just a regular diet book. There are recipes in it. It's not just a regular fitness book. There are photos and instructions on different
Workouts. Yeah.
exercises.
Yeah.
It's not just a spiritual book. There are prayers in it every single day. It's to me, I've never seen a book that encompasses the whole picture, mind, body, and spirit, which is really what we have to do. And moving forward, the one tip that I would give people is prepare. When you prepare, one of the chapters, I think it's second chapter, I talk about gear,
Mm-hmm.
GEAR. It's an acronym for get your stuff ready. When you get prepared, like if you those busy days you got to travel, let's say, or you're going to be gone for a day, you pack a lunch. Well, let's start getting prepared for being. If you look at people who look like they're in great shape, they go to the gym all the time. So let's start preparing for. Let's get our gear. Let's get some good tennis shoes. Doesn't have to be super expensive. Now you get them for 20 bucks. If you want to work out at home, there's so many programs online for free. If you want to
Yeah.
go to a gym, surround yourself. I give you all different types of options. But one of the best I would advise too is going on this journey with a friend. And if you don't know anybody
Mm.
that you can do it with, I'll be your friend. So grab my book and we can do this together.
I absolutely love that. So we're going to start small. We're going to meet ourselves where we are,
Yep.
and everything's better when we have a community, when we have a
Yes.
tribe, when we're plugged in, and we're social creatures. So that is a great place to. It's a great place to start. I absolutely love that. And look, the thing that stood out to me about your book when it was sent over was just how holistic of a view you take. Because look, there's no shortage of workout books. There's no shortage of
Right.
diet books. There's no shortage of diet advice, workout advice. All of that's fair and well. But I think that we kind of miss the picture of just this step back and look at ourselves as these very complex creatures and just meeting ourselves where we are, taking these small steps, not trying to just change it because it's the first of the year. I'm going to only eat salads, go to the gym 5 days a week, and do all these crazy things that just aren't sustainable or frankly enjoyable for a lot of people. But rather, hey, look, let's make this fun. Let's shift our mindset. Let's go from a restrictive mentality to an abundant mentality. How do I have
Yes.
life? Like you said, I want life to the full.
And
So
and
how do
another very important factor give yourself some grace.
Give yourself some
God,
grace.
God
Yeah.
gives us grace. We make
Yeah.
mistakes. All of us are sinners. I'm probably not going to be perfect in my diet today, tomorrow, next week, next month. I do, like I said, I like chocolate chip cookies and Fritos. But everything in moderation is the key.
Mhm.
But when you do way go overboard, and we've all had those times, and I think it's important to give yourself some grace. And there's always the next day. Start over.
Yep. Yep. Start over. Wonderful. Yeah, you get unlimited do-overs, so,
Yeah.
as it turns out. Yeah, and
Yes.
there is grace. Yes. So, all right. Well, Shemane, let's wrap up here. I do want to ask you this question: given the state of our health here, specifically in the United States, right? 75% of us are overweight or obese. I read a statistic that said I think it's only 12% of adults are metabolically healthy. Are you optimistic about our health future or less so?
Oh, yeah. With RFK, with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. coming in, I I was so excited about that. I hope he can get President Trump off the McDonald's French fries too. But nevertheless,
Yeah.
finally, we've got somebody addressing the environment, the air, soil, and water, and our food source. What's going on, and why are our don't get me started on vaccines. Why are our children given so many vaccines? We are setting our country up, our nation up. If you go to different countries, nobody is 70% obese or overweight. No other
Right.
countries are. This is a pandemic for us, for this country. This is something that we need to, God wants to help us, but we got to start with helping ourselves too. God has given us the free will to decide, are we going to have, the whipped cream on top of the coffee at Starbucks, and that's 500 calories. And it's
Yeah.
really like this much of
Yeah. And
coffee,
70 grams of sugar. Yeah. It's crazy.
um,
Yeah.
or can we start with baby steps and maybe
Hmm.
have a glass of water, then have some coffee,
Yeah.
or I put a lot of different ideas in the book, and I want to make it abundant for everybody, and something that everybody can find a symptom, something that they can latch onto and go, you know what? I'm going to prepare. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to write it in my schedule. I'm important. I'm going to work out 15 minutes. And for people who say they don't have time, we got time for this. Check and see how
Hmm.
much time you spend on social media.
Yeah.
So take that and give up, do a little bit of a digital, like if you spend, the average person spends about 2 hours a day on social media.
I believe it. Yeah.
So let's take a portion of that. Let's take 15 minutes or 10 minutes twice a day. That means sit ups and push ups and jumping jacks, 10 minutes, 10 minutes twice a day. You
Yeah.
got this. You can do this.
Right on. Yeah, I love it. All right. So I figured you'd come out on the glass half full and not glass half empty when it comes to our future.
Yes.
And yeah, I agree. I think that our responsibility for our health starts and ends with us. We are the CEOs of our health. And it's really not up to politics or a healthcare system or food system, pharma system for our health. It's up to us.
Yes.
All right. Well, Shemane, you've accomplished a lot. You've had a long career here. You've been at this for a long time. What's next for you? What are you excited about coming up here in the next year or so?
Well, I have so many things. I have this
Mhm.
problem where I don't complain that I'm too busy, but I always am too busy. And once I have an opportunity to slow down, I get busy. I don't know what to do. So I have several projects. I am doing a docuseries, as I mentioned. We have a documentary called Killer House. It's at killerhouse.org. And I've had so many people reach out to me continually. I want more. I want to know more about this. So we're making a docuseries out of that. And that's one of the projects. I'm writing another book or two. I love to write. I love to read, as you could tell.
Mhm.
And you know what? This might sound selfish, but I do believe that we all need to be selfish. I want to spend more time on nurturing my mind, body, and spirit, and not being so busied, not just busy, but busying myself with so many different tasks. Like, how many times a day do I? I want to shut my phone off 2 hours before I go to bed. So for me,
Good for you.
I
Yeah.
have a lot of different things going on. We have a outdoor television show called Ted Nugent Spirit of the Wild. He and I both do our podcasts, our podcasts are on Real America's Voice. Mine's called Faith and Freedom. So, and I want to do a podcast with a friend on spiritual warfare. So I have this problem, Kevin.
Yeah. Good luck on the not being busy there for
I
you, but
know.
I get you. Yeah. No, same. I, it's kind of a funny thing. I say that I want to just have this peace and quiet and be present in the moment. And as soon as I'm there, I'm
It's
uncomfortable
hard.
and
I know.
I'm off to the races because there's I have no shortage of things I could do and that I'm passionate about doing, frankly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. I'm also on that quest to find some comfort being still and being quiet. And it's been elusive, to be honest with you, so far. But all right. Well, with that, Shemane, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show here and sharing all of your knowledge and your wisdom and your passion with us. I think the work you are doing is amazing. And I just encourage you to keep that up.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Honored to be here on your podcast. And I hope we can do it again sometime soon.
Yeah, maybe when you wrap up your next docuseries or
I
your
know,
next
right?
book, we'll have you back. And right before we go, just tell folks, where do you want to send people? Where's the best place for them to go and learn about you and plug in?
Probably my website, ShemaneNugent.rocks, ROCKS. My Killer House website, killerhouse.org, was all information about toxic mold. But I'm all over social media. I'm on Instagram and Facebook with the blue check. So look for those. And I do believe that we are meant to be childlike. God wants us to be, nobody can enter the kingdom without having the essence of a child and the childlike mentality. So I do some silly dancing sometimes on Instagram once a week or so. So I think it's important to have fun. That's part of our healing process too.
Sure is. Yeah, absolutely love it. All right. With that, folks, I will drop all of Shemane's information. That book again is called Abundantly Well, Bible-based wisdom for weight loss, increased energy, and vibrant health. And who doesn't want that, right? I'll drop the links to that, to all of the resources, social media, all that fun stuff. You guys can find that there. Till next time, stay strong. Okay, that's our show for today, folks. If you enjoyed this podcast, I want to let you know that you can download our free Over 50 Strength Training Made Simple guide over at silveredgefree.com. This guide is perfect for those of you curious about starting a strength training program, but aren't sure how to get started safely and effectively. Again, you can download your free copy over at silveredgefree.com. And of course, I'll put everything we talked about today in the show notes. You folks can find those over at silveredgefitness.com/318. As we wrap up our time together today, you can show your support for this show in two important ways. The first is to tell a friend about this podcast and encourage them to give it a listen. The second is for you YouTube folks to click the like and subscribe buttons, and for you podcast folks to please give this podcast a 5-star review on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on, and be sure to subscribe and follow so you don't miss any future episodes. I really appreciate you spending your time with me today, and until next time, stay strong.